Hey everyone, and welcome back to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal on a water break. And this week we are all about BOA and Chuck Henson. But before we get there, we will figure out what made Woody say.
You know, that's very exciting because a lot of times when you try to do that, the two don't mix very well. And they usually head towards something a little less structured.
And why Jackie said,
add a baby or two to that, and then that's just what I've been doing the last couple of years.
All this and more on this week's episode of On a Water Break.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in.
It's time for a water break.
Hey everyone, this is Steven here, and we have a great episode lined up this week. We are going to meet Chuck Henson, who's been on the show before, I believe, and has a new podcast available where he talks about all things BOA. And we're going to meet another new host as well, but before we see who's on the sidelines this week, go ahead, subscribe on your favorite listening app, write us a review, share the show with a friend. If you have a question or a good topic you think that you want to hear us talk about, you could email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com or find us on social media and DM us if you want to be on the show. We've got a new form now, so you could fill that out if you want to be a guest. Check it out in the link on our bio. But who do we got on the sidelines this week? First of all, we've got my old co-host, longtime partner, Jackie Brown. How you doing, Jackie? How's your summer going?
Man, this has been a very hectic summer for me. I've taken on more clients than I probably should have for choreography, but I have been keeping up with DCI thanks to our wonderful DCI correspondents that I've been working with, and Boston. Oh my god!
Oh man!
You want to talk about bringing the boom?
I'm excited.
Yes,
their Drumline is doing it. At least as of right now, they've got to get it's happening. I hope that this is their year, not to wear all of my colors on my chest here or whatever. But a lot of us on the East Coast have been waiting a long time for Boston to get their first drum trophy out here.
You know what, Steve? I watched about 20 seconds of it and I cut it off because I didn't want to ruin the moment for when I see them live.
I feel you. I do that a lot too.
I was like, that's money. People are like, you didn't even watch the whole show. I didn't need to. This was like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it because I don't want to lose the hype when I see it live. And I'm seeing
That's real, though. Yeah. That's how good you want to get. You want to get so good that people are like, wait, whoa. I can only take so much.
Don't ruin it for me, you know?
Yeah, well, that's awesome. We'll have a little bit more time later to talk a little bit about some groups from this summer, but I'm excited. I'm a little bit like Woody myself. I've been really, really waiting for that first in-person show to come up to our area. But I could talk to you about DCA all day because I'm there every weekend. But yeah, Woody, been waiting to see you at Bush, man. How you doing?
That was a good weekend, man. First off, as a former member, I was very proud to see that the show was finished that quick. That was
That's crazy nowadays, right? Weekend band is moving.
It wasn't even like mid-July.
And that's just where you have to be to keep up. Like, that's where I would love to try to toot the Bushwhackers horn and say that we're the only group moving this fast, but that's just a lie. Every one of them in weekend band is going now.
I thought that was awesome, and I dug the production. I hope things go well for the drum corps.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I've been busy, Technically, the band season has started and getting the band off the ground and all that kind of stuff. But here's a first for my program that I took over. They're going to the Glassboro show.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, and, I have like 50 kids in the band, but we got 80 tickets going.
Whoa, wait, what?
I know. I'm like, whoa. Well, we have a kid, too. We have a kid marching in the Raiders. So his family's going. That was like 12 tickets. And it just, after talking to the band parents and all, hey, this is the place where you want to see why our staff is so driven. And they're excited to see what it's all about. So I'm about to introduce a whole bunch of new people to the activity. Gotta love that,
Wow.
right?
That is really cool, man. That is what it's all about. I feel like that's how you make a band person.
Yes.
Is that type of moment right there. We have a new host that we need to introduce to all of our listeners as well. So, without any further ado, Joe Brown, welcome to the podcast, Joe.
Thank you. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. So, I understand you and Woody friends.
Yes, so we taught together at Raiders for 2-3 years. You were there.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years. But Steve, lighten up on that friends thing, please. Just
Acquaintances. You and Woody are acquaintances. Once talked.
and then we judged together.
Yes,
right? We
do.
also judged together, and then I kind of stole him to help me with my marching band. So I can't. He can't escape me. So.
Well, we're happy to have you on the call, man.
Thank you.
Why don't we do a 32 count life story with you as well? That way, we know you know Woody, but let's learn the rest of the story here.
All right.
That's not enough to get in the club, bro.
All right. I'll try to make you proud, Woody. I'll try to make you proud.
All right. We got Aiden in off the Met.
All right. So my name is Joe. My nickname is Joe Bama. That's a long story of how I got there. It happened from Cornfield. I'm originally from Norwalk, Connecticut. Graduated from Primary High School. And I've basically been doing marching band since forever. With the Connecticut Hurricanes. So I did Hurricanes from 2000 to 2010. I did Hurricanes with your buddy Steven. You probably know Jim Dugan, and you also probably know Jamie Thompson. So they were both designers and staff there. So very well aware of them. The Met stopped, so I'll just keep talking. So I've been in Jersey. I live in New Jersey now. I've been teaching several marching bands for quite a long time. Also been judging for quite a long time. I've actually slowed down in the judging a lot more this year. And in fact, I'm not judging anymore. I'm concentrating on my marching band. I'm currently the program coordinator for Elizabeth High School Marching Band, Class 5 open marching band in New Jersey. Highly competitive, really great band. This is my second year doing design, fourth year being with the band. But as I said, I've taught drum corps, I've taught Sunrisers, I've taught Jersey Surf, and I've taught Raiders. So, so I've been around the block a little bit.
Yeah, you've been around.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I know a lot of people up there. What was that, Woody?
It's almost like he lives down here with us, huh?
Where are you at? Can you remind me?
I'm in Jersey City, so I'm.
Oh, okay, yeah. Not quite
right
down here with us, Woody. I don't know that I'd say that.
No,
it's almost like.
Yeah, it's my first time not being on tour in I don't know how long. Because I've been on tour with DCI forever, so it's my first summer at home, not including pandemic. So it feels very, very weird to be home right now. Like I should be in Texas right now.
Isn't it
like it
strange?
feels weird that I'm not in Texas. Yeah. So it's so strange. I don't know how to feel right now. It's like I wake up and I'm actually in a bed and not in an air mattress, and I'm not in a room with like 30 other people, and like it's just all these things like you weirdly take for granted that you're so used to. Now it's like you want it to just be normal, but it's not. It doesn't feel right yet. So
yeah, you're in the shower. You're
now
like, where is everyone?
Add a baby or two. Add a baby or two to that, and then that's just what I've been doing the last couple of years. Like, where's
depending
my
on the
tour
day,
bus?
could be,
Where did this kid come from?
He lives in a place where he has to order Taylor ham versus pork roll.
That's still something I still don't understand with New Jerseyans, right? Like, I know the story about Taylor ham and pork roll or whatever else. It's like the North Jersey, South Jersey thing. You guys find reasons to argue about everything.
And remember, there is no
Central Jersey. That's what you're going to say.
Jersey. No.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that. I don't even know where you draw the line.
Princeton.
And above there, I think you're in North Jersey. Look, it can be binary. Things are right or wrong. There's no in between.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're real happy to have you on the show, man. And we'll get to hear a little bit more about either some hot takes you have about drum corps or maybe some other interesting stuff you want to share and teach us a little bit about later on in the call here. Well, also joining us on the sidelines this week, I mentioned it earlier, but we've got Chuck Henson with us. So, Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you all again. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you some more. I think a long time ago, I don't even know if we were doing 32 Count Life Stories then. Do you remember?
I don't think so. And we did it out of my old studio in St. Petersburg. That was years ago, right? At least 3 years ago.
Yeah, probably first year of the show.
But I think it was.
I was
and I was the one having all the technical difficulties.
Yeah. We've come a long way, but as you see, the technical difficulties never escape us.
Okay. If there's a wire involved somewhere, I'm going to mess it up. That's for sure.
Well, anyway, though, you may be familiar with the segment, but you'll get 8.5 the Met, and then you'll get 32 counts at 60 standard American beats per minute to tell us everything about your life story from when you were born to today.
I'm looking forward
leave
to
no
it.
hole, fill it all in.
All right.
Every
I'll do
detail.
my best. I'll do my best.
All right. 8.5 the Met.
All right. Am I going now?
There you go.
All right. I was the big voice in the big stadium at the big band show. The end.
He only needed 4 counts. I feel like there's a little more.
How did
there.
you get there, though? That's my question.
But
Wait a
that's
minute. How did you get there?
For all your viewers and your listeners, that's what they know. That's what they want to know. Anything else is going to be secondary, where I grew up and things like that. It was a great run. 35 years. It was a great run at Bands of America.
Wow. So you're the guy that everyone would hear over the speakers announcing all the shows.
For the big chunk of time, it was just me for probably 20 of those 35 years. And there was a time when I was also tabulating and announcing in the early days when there was only 7 of us on staff. But now there are 9 announcers at Bands of America. All of them do a wonderful one. You guys probably all know Dan Potter and John Pollard. Dan does a lot of DCI and he does a lot of BOA as well. He hosts several podcasts. He's a really, really wonderful. And last year in the fall was his first time announcing Grand National Finals after all the years he's been announcing, because I'm on the sideline now with my issues.
Hand the torch.
It was really happy and sad, if I can say. Obviously I would love to be there and be doing that, but if I can't do it, Dan's a man. He did a tremendous job.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. So that's in good hands. We will have a great announcement. And then you are carrying on a little bit of your run, speaking into the microphone at the very least.
Yeah, I'm doing what you guys do now. So I've done a lot when it comes to broadcast. I was a radio person for years. I did television in Tampa Bay for 10 years. And of course, 35 years behind the mic at Bands of America. But I really thought that when I have several issues with my retinas hate me.
Oh, no.
And my vision is very, very poor, even with the glasses. I can barely read what's on the computer in front of me. Even getting connected here was probably a miracle on my part. But they called and they said, hey, Bands of America is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, 50 years of Bands of America. And they asked me if I would host a series of podcast episodes. We're roughly keeping them to about 30 minutes, but there's no real timetable on them. 25 episodes trying to chronicle 50 years of Bands of America excellence. And the first one dropped last Thursday. The podcast itself is called Joining Us, as was our big phrase when a band would start their program. We'd start with Joining Us from blah, 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 blah. So that's the name of the podcast. And you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's on the Music for All podcast network, along with the other great podcasts that Music for All puts together. But I was almost insistent that the first guest would be Dr. Tim Lotzenheiser. And Tim graciously agreed, and he and I had the best conversation, you guys. We had the best conversation. The reason I needed Tim in that first slot is because he was going to make it look easy for me, quite frankly. He speaks for a living. He's in front of kids all the time. He's in front of parents all the time. When you listen to it, I don't know if any of you have already, but when you listen to it, the wealth of knowledge that man has. He was the 3rd executive director at Bands of America, then Marching Bands of America, when the event was held in Whitewater. But he was there at the beginning. He was the assistant to Larry McCormick at McCormick's before all of that started. And to hear his story, and then after him, we do Greg Bim this week. The week after that is Mike Davis, who was at UW Whitewater. So far, we've already recorded with Bill Galvin and his son, Sean. Bill, a band director in Pennsylvania. Sean, a professional musician with the Pittsburgh Symphony. And both of them through the program, and 2 generations of people through the program. It's been miraculous sort of journey. We're only 4 episodes. I've only recorded 4 of them. 1 has dropped. I think you're going to really, really love it. But can you imagine the pressure, guys? I mean, I've been given nothing other than, hey, let's put on a show. And I'm responsible for annotating history for 50 years of an organization that has meant everything to me. I mean, I was there for 35 behind the mic. And you think you know everything? You don't know everything. You don't know anything.
Surely no. If anything, you were just training for 35 years and now it's your real time to shine. You have to chronicle the whole history.
I mean, imagine. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people that have gone through the ranks, hundreds of thousands of people, students and teachers and directors and parents and fans and administrators and folks that work there and folks that drive the buses. And I mean, and how do you possibly get all of that into 25 episodes? I don't know, but I'm going to do my best. And there's a couple things that folks can do, and I hope you guys can help me with this. If you go to musicforall.org/podcast, you'll find the link to the Joining Us podcast there. But there's also a SpeakPipe link where you can record your own BOA story. That way I can include you in the process. And we're taking clips of people who've recorded the most wonderful stories from their time associated with Bands of America, or as a student, or as someone who came to the show, or as a director or a volunteer who've said, this is my BOA story, or simply just to say, happy birthday, Bands of America. And if anyone wants to be a part of that, everyone can be a part of that. That way, no one gets left out in this process, because that's my biggest concern, as you can imagine. 25 episodes, 50 years to cover. I don't want anyone to be angry with me because they didn't end up on the show, but, I think you're going to love it. I mean, really, that's the best thing I can say. After the ones we've done so far, to me, it feels very comfortable now. And I hope you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, we definitely should check it out. Can you remind everyone that link so that they could go and visit the site?
It's musicforall.org/podcasts. And they do several. There's several educational podcasts there. Dan Potter's Break Ranks is on there. And now our newest one called Joining Us is on there as well. And again, episode number 1 dropped down last Thursday. You're not behind. It's still time to keep up. And it features Dr. Tim Lonsenheiser, who is a dear friend to everybody attached to music education.
Excellent. Well, everyone should go check it out. I definitely want to go check out that first episode. It sounds like a really great conversation.
It was so fun. We laughed and laughed and laughed. And Tim's insight into music education is something everyone should know. He's brilliant.
Great. I want to share a little bit with everyone some awesome episodes that we just recorded recently, some bonus things we got going on. I got to do a fun interview with Neil from the Savannah Bananas, who is he's a drummer for their entertainment band in the Savannah Bananas. So I, from all my Eagles Drumline stuff, love hearing all and figuring out what this whole different world of drumming and just marching arts in the regular world society, what it look like out there. Neil has a lot of energy and a lot of interesting stories. And if you like the Savannah Bananas, then this is the perfect Venn diagram for you. And you should go, this episode was made for you. You should go watch it. But then our DCI correspondents are also posting fabulous videos from tour. I'm sure if you're listening to this show, you must like DCI. There's no way you like this show and you don't like drum corps. That wouldn't even make any sense. So you should probably check out all that content.
Or maybe you're just a hater and you just listen to our show and then you're like, drum corps, the old days.
Yeah,
why can't it be like that anymore?
Yeah. Maybe those guys can hang out. They should ignore that wonderful content from our DCI correspondents because of how much they hate DCI. But if you like drum corps like most of the rest of us, we have good content for you coming from all across the tour this summer. And our recent live episode was a blast too. If you think there's enough tech problems on the pre-recorded episode, you should check us out on a live stream at 1 p.m. on typically the first Monday of the month. Usually you won't see us at 1 p.m. because we're dealing with tech problems. But you keep on the stream there, you'll see us probably in a couple minutes.
We do our best.
And we're there, and it's great because we can listen to, we can take questions and stuff in the comments and interact with everyone. It's a lot of fun. But at this point, I got to get back on the field. Joe's got a lot of experience out there, and I really need to figure out how I'm going to clean my bass line this summer. So Joe's going to get us started, and we'll be back with you after a quick commercial break.
Celebrating its 25th anniversary, Guard Closet was founded as a consignment shop in 2000. Since then, it has grown to become your one-stop shop for the marching arts.
Do you need consignment uniforms and flags for your color guard, marching band, or drumline? We have thousands of sets of consignments in stock and ready to ship.
Do you need show design and custom choreography? Our designers have years of experience in the marching arts.
Do you need to sell your items and clear out your storage areas? We take in more than 600 sets of consignments each year and return hundreds of thousands of dollars to our consigners for their sales.
Do you need to have your students order shoes, gloves, and other equipment? We can set up a microsite for easy student ordering of a wide variety of items.
Do you need custom costumes or flags? We can help get you great designs from our team through top vendors like Show Day Designs.
Have you listened to our podcast On a Water Break? Weekly episodes and bonus content keep you entertained and informed with what's going on in the marching arts.
For over 25 years, Guard Closet has been here to help. Check us out at guardcloset.com or follow us on social media.
All right. Why don't we see what's happening in the news this week? All right. Joe, looks like you've got the first story here. Want to get started?
So it looks like for this past All-Star game, looks like the Clark Atlanta University Mighty Marching Panthers and Essence dance line performed at the pregame show. That's pretty exciting. I've gotten a chance to do that for the Yankee playoffs when I was in marching.
Oh, nice.
So it's very, very exciting, right? So, like, can you imagine knowing that you're in the same building with, like, people like Jermaine Dupri or Ludacris, right?
Right.
That's exciting, right?
Actually, that's a good point, man, because when I'm doing Eagles drumline, I'm always peeking around the peripherals, trying to see like, what player, who's that around the corner. And if you're doing it at the MLB All-Star game, then there's probably at least one or two good players around that you might be able to catch a little glimpse at, right? Uh-huh.
I remember doing it for the 97, 98, 99, 2000 World Series. And, you know, people know George Steinbrenner. He's very superstitious, so we always had the marching band come back, perform, march in Tinker Tape Parade. So I know exactly how they're feeling being on that field during that big time where it's like, what in the world's happening? You're starting to play. It takes them 10 seconds for the sound to bounce back. It's just all the emotions that are happening all at once. So it had to be exciting for everybody there.
Well, that's awesome.
Nothing worse than band in a baseball stadium. Nothing worse.
The sound acoustics are horrible. Like, we saw videos and you would see the color guard spinning and it's like it's not matching up at all to what we're hearing or anything else, or, you know, the sound's still going, the instruments are down, and it's not even close. And you still see it's still great. The video is terrible, but everything else is great.
Yeah, it's a blur while you're doing it, but then you go back and check it out. You're like, ooh. But, well, that's awesome. I definitely hope that there are more opportunities like that for more marching bands to just get to go out there and do something fun in public. Not like, I love that we do competitions for band people, but I think it's way cooler when band gets out into the rest of the world. It has a little breakout moment.
I feel like there's been a lot of like band and like sporting event crossovers more so in the recent years than there ever has been. I mean, I know that's always been a little bit of a thing, but like it's just been really, really prevalent, I feel like, in the last few years, and it just keeps growing. So I hope it keeps on doing that. Yeah,
there's been more and more of it. So I'm with you. I hope we see more, and I hope more people figure out ways that they can even do little independent things on their own. But all right, I'll take the next story here. Next story is unfortunately a very sad one, a really tragic story. But down in Leander in Texas, which I believe Cindy is probably from around that area. Mm-hmm. But down in Leander, one of the members of the high school marching band was one of the students or individuals that did pass away in the flooding. Oh. Yeah, it was shared by the Leander school district that they're absolutely heartbroken by the loss. and the band shared the news as well. So condolences to the Leander School District and to their marching band for a tragic loss. So not to drag down the more fun vibe we had, but we thought it was
you handled it very well, Steve.
Good to mention.
Right. Good man.
Good loss. All right. Well, let's see. I think, Chuck, you have our next news story here. Do you want to take the next one?
I can read you. I mean, you guys told me about it, that Bands of America had hired a new executive director. I knew there was a search ongoing, but the last I had heard, there had not been an announcement. But you saw the announcement, right?
Yeah. So it looks like James Weaver is named the
there
next
are
CEO.
two. This is Dr. James Weaver, who was already with an organization that did music and sports nationally out of Indiana. I initially thought it was my dear friend Jamie Weaver, who's also a band director out of Texas, who had been a great selection as well. But congratulations to Dr. James Weaver. He's the new executive director at Music for All. He's got a big job ahead of him.
Yeah. hopefully maybe he's got some very interesting ideas. I think around this time last year, or maybe 2 years ago, DCI changed its CEO. And I think that earnestly, it seems like they've done more since he's come into the fold.
Yeah, because that gentleman came from swimming, right? He was like an executive director of a national swimming organization, and everyone was worried about how that would translate to DCI. But, good leadership is good leadership. And so if you've got the right person in that role, anything's possible.
Yeah, I am definitely thinking specifically of Big, Loud, and Live being back, at least. It seems like maybe they're making efforts to bring the sport towards just more popular or more places you can watch it from at the very least. But yeah, maybe Joe, later on in the call here, I'd love to hear maybe some of your thoughts and things that they could still do better or things that are different now that maybe aren't for the best. Be curious that. But before we do that, we have one more news story. Jackie, do you want to share the exciting news?
I don't remember if it's been like one episode, 2 episodes ago. Nicholas Moore was on our podcast because he entered the Duct Tape Stuck at Prom scholarship contest. And I just found out today he won in the Tux category. He was the grand prize winner. So thank you to everybody who voted. I'm so excited because I was thinking, oh yeah, this little scholarship contest. Because when I was in school, I think the grand prize was like $1,000 or $2,000 or something like that. And
nice.
So there we have it.
Bringing in the big bucks. So congratulations, Nicholas. Yeah. Next week, he is going to be on our show. So guys, make sure you watch for that. I just talked to his mom and he's going to be back and we're going to have an awesome episode with him. And he can tell you all about how excited he is because this is huge, marching band person winning this big scholarship contest like this. And it's so visible. So yay, congrats.
Yeah, it's for anyone that maybe didn't get to catch that episode, he made it like a marching band uniform in the style of a tux still, basically out of duct tape, but it's like very detailed. And yeah, he ended up winning the contest. So huge congrats to Nick Moore. That's
beautiful.
Really cool.
We got pictures on our social media too.
Awesome. Well, that's it for the news this week. But before we move on from news, we have a travel tip. So it's time for your Peak Group Travel Tip of the Week, brought to you by our sponsors at Peak Group Travel, helping you navigate your next adventure, whether it's across the country or just to your next competition.
Hi, everyone. It's time for your Travel Tip of the Week with me. I'm Beth with Peak Group Travel. If you're doing a special performance on your next tour, make sure you contact the venue to be sure of everything that's included. Things like electricity, chairs, stands, lighting, and maybe even large percussion instruments might not be included. So make sure you check before you leave in case you need to bring anything on your own. Don't forget to like and follow Peak Group Travel on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And be sure to email info@peakgrouptravel.com when you're ready to start planning your next performance tour. This is Beth with Peak Group Travel and your Travel Tip of the Week. Ready to elevate your travel game? Welcome to Peak Group Travel. the ultimate adventure creators. Whether you're planning an unforgettable class trip, a once-in-a-lifetime parade experience for your marching band, or a choir tour full of memorable performance venues, Peak Group Travel handles it all, so you can focus on making memories. From breathtaking international destinations to amazing adventures right here at home, Peak Group Travel customizes every journey to your vision. We're not just planners, we're your partners for the trip you want for your students. Our online registration portal makes managing your pre-trip experience smooth and convenient. We even collect your payments if you'd like. Picture it, effortless planning, unmatched experiences, and smiles that last long after the journey ends. That's the Peak Group Travel difference. And if you choose to partner with Peak on your next tour, and you mention that you heard about us on the On a Water Break podcast, you'll earn a $100 trip credit. Discover why groups everywhere trust Peak Group Travel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and be sure to visit peakgrouptravel.com today. You pick the date, and we'll make it great.
I've only finally recently learned to wait for that. I always would start talking and then Ricardo would just yell over me. I let him be polite and not rude this time on the call. Well, everyone, it's time for the 60-second tech block. It's a segment where one of our hosts or guest clinicians is put on the spot to deliver a nonstop 60-second tech session on a topic that needs some serious attention after the last run that we just had. Our special tech this week, they've come prepared with 3 topics that they think they could prepare for a full 60 seconds straight. No hesitation or pauses, just pure technical gold. And this week, looks like we're going to throw it to Joe, who's got 3 different topics for us. Joe, what are the 3 different things that we could pick from today?
So the 3 different topics would be, one would be, what's it like being a new designer or program coordinator, some of the trials and tribulations of that. A second one is why some small bands are having really difficulty of trying to grow. And then a third one is, what's it like teaching within a Title I school? What is a Title I school? Can they compete with everybody else, right? So,
Okay. Well, I think since Woody knows you so well, Woody should pick what you're going to do today.
I like that small band thing, but I think I'm going to go with the Title I. I think America needs to know what a Title I school is. Yes. A lot of people don't know those things. I think that'd be really cool to open that up to everyone.
All right. Well, here's what I'll do. I'll pull up a timer here on my phone, and I'll keep it here on my screen. But once I hit go, you can give us 60 seconds of straight knowledge about running a Title I program and how you think they can participate and really do well despite the challenges.
And don't mess it up. You're representing Title I.
You'll probably have to stop me because I can very easily go more than 60 seconds.
Well, I think that we're going to go on after. Let's see. Give us the 60-second condensed version first.
Yes.
Give your best shot.
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so Title I, for people that don't understand, school districts are generally mainly funded heavily. They are heavily subsidized because they tend to be low-income areas, right? So, for example, in my state, in Jersey, you would think of like Trenton, you would think of Newark, you would think of, those type of cities. So I've been lucky enough to teach at a couple of them. So right now I teach at Elizabeth High School, which is a Title I school. I've also taught at Weehawken High School, which is also a Title I school. Drastically different programs, right? So you look at Weehawken, which is a 1A band, which has maybe 20, 30 people in it. And you go to Elizabeth, which has 120 people in it, right? And so what's the difference in that, right? It's how the schools themselves are using the funding and how they support the school, the arts. So you look at
That's 60 seconds. Don't tell us anything about how they use the funding. I'm just kidding. Keep on going.
So, told you I can do it easily. So, for example, Weehawken, they're not really supportive. You don't really have a lot of they're like, oh, here's some money. Don't you already have uniforms, right? Do you really need this? Do you really need to read? Like, it's like you're kind of begging for like the basics and stuff like that. But you go to a school like Elizabeth where you are heavily, heavily supported by the school district, right? And because, the band, we're lucky that we're we do well. And so, they like to see the notoriety. They love seeing the kids do well, right? And so they love seeing the kids, doing things like that, right? So every chance they get to have the band go and, perform for this or perform for that or go for this, right? And, you see them like just cheering on. So it's a very different of like Elizabeth and the support of the arts, right? And heavily supporting the arts, which we're really lucky. And then we have, Weehawken, in which kids are great. And the difference of the kids being in Title I versus non-Title I schools, there's no difference. They have the same passion. They want to do well. They enjoy the activity. They love playing. There's no difference. Can they play? Yes, right? But they just are, because of Title I and they come from low income, they don't have some of the advantages of having like private tutors, right? They don't have, they can't, a lot of them have to go home and babysit, right? Their kids while their parents are working, right? And so, they have to go home, babysit their kids. They can't go to practice, right? They have to do this. So there's a lot more challenges in those. I've also taught at Broadway, right? Which I believe is Title I school as well. So, but as I said, the quality of kids, no different, right? And so it's a prime example of where money comes into stand, and not just money, of how the administration spends money. So,
boy, he's really excited about it. You say, Steve. He's going to go for 2 second blocked.
Maybe 180 seconds, or I'm looking at the timer up here. It looks more like a 4.5 minute long text block.
I can go more.
I will say something.
I think it's interesting stuff. Yeah, go ahead, Woody.
I will say something on that. I guess in Pennsylvania, they don't use a Title I thing. So when you do a group like in Philadelphia, they run into those same kind of issues, and you take a regular person like us out of the drum corps community and you place him into that situation, and you're like, hey, where's John at? Well, he couldn't come today because he had to babysit. And we just freak out. I did a school in Delaware. I did a Drumline for 2 years there. Yep. And, my mom is working, so I got to go home. Like right in the middle of the ensemble block. And, that is a very interesting concept. I dug that day. And on a side note,
it's a huge cultural difference.
Yes, it is. And we don't, I have to say, our community, we don't go very well out of our way to change our ways for something that drastically different. You're like, you in or out? I can't help you. You in or out? I mean, that's just how we are. That's why we have the excellence that we have. And I think it's wonderful that someone like Joe's out there and he's bringing them into our world. That's very exciting, because a lot of times when you try to do that, the two don't mix very well. And they usually head towards something a little less structured. So congratulations to you, man.
Thank you. I mean, Woody, you were able to come see us at a rehearsal. You saw the production we put on, right? Like, it's not, if you looked at it, it did not look like a Title I.
No, you would never guess that it was a special, I shouldn't say special needs school, but a different approach to how we do the activity. They were in it 100%, 100%. Did you guys win last year, or you second or something like that?
We won, what is it called? It was Yamaha Cup or whatever they call it now these days, right? We made it to.
That's the USB. That's a US bands function, right?
Yeah. So US bands, and then we made at the New Jersey BOA regional. We made it to finals. I think we're like 6th place, right? Which was one of our highest placements we had in the year. So
which is no joke.
No, for my first year of designing, I think we did pretty well, right? So the kids worked their butts off. Like, those kids worked their butts off, right? And, we have amazing designers there writing design, Miguel writing the music. We have Louis Hellinger, who is very known in the guard world, writing our guard. So, great people on the design, great kids, great parents, right? So we have a package there. So it's fun to be there.
Nice. It kind of reminds me, like, my high school, I don't know that we exactly had like the definition. It's like what he was saying. I was in Pennsylvania, so I don't know that the terminologies are all exactly the same. But I went to Upper Darby High School, and about half of the district.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I have to compete against them. Sorry.
It's the same vibe. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, half the district is like essentially the farthest outcropping of Philly. And then the other half of the district is more suburban. So you actually end up with a lot of like the types of families that you're speaking about. One thing that I thought was interesting, like with the dynamic there, is sometimes in like a low income environment, some of the students, especially those that have been drumming their whole life, maybe drumming is either a part of their family or a part of like a church environment that they're in, they will have devoted a lot of time to it as well. Like a lot of the best members of my high school drumline were actually from the more low income side of the district. It was just the way it worked out. What'd you say, Woody?
What I find with that, in my experience, is that those kids, they want structure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They want structure, but our community in the drum corps world, we don't know how to introduce them so that they kick back. So the first couple of weeks, you're like, pick up your sneak. And they're like, no. And we're like, yes, no. And then we just turn them off. But if you stay with them, man, once they buy in, like you said, Steve, it's a great thing. Those kids from Philadelphia and where they come from is not a very good neighborhood. That in the
Not
West
necessarily, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No. But once they buy in, I always love it because I know myself being from Philadelphia that it's a lifesaver. You've now introduced kids to something that had they not had that experience with you, Steve, you know what? They wouldn't know so many things that are out there in life. I think that's why I appreciate what you're doing there too, Obama. Actually, I told you it was a human. It was a human story. All right. I'm going off. All right. Play the music.
What are we doing?
All right. Well, yeah, we've got to get into it. That was a great 60-second tech session, Joe. So I appreciate it. Great thing for us to talk about. Could probably talk about it more another time. But for now, let's get into these.
What are we doing?
All right, great. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. We get to let loose a little bit, potentially a lot. It's your chance to rant about something in the marching arts that just doesn't make sense to you. So I think those that have seen the show before are probably pretty familiar with it. I can kick one off to get us started this week so that Joe makes sense and you see how this all works. Same for you, Chuck. But I'd say, what are we doing to make our area better when it comes to Drumline or something like that? I think that a bottleneck that we found in New Jersey a lot of the time is just that at the end of the day, you compare it to areas that beat us, California, Ohio, that they just produce a higher number of a higher quality of high school student. And that's where it's like, okay, how can United fix that problem? It's hard. But recently, we ran a big drumline clinic over at Rowan University. And we flew out Roger Carter, which was so fun. The morning was like a choose your own adventure. So we had a bunch of different rooms the kids could pick from. They got to go wherever they felt they wanted to be, whether it was like an instrument specific or skill level specific. And then the afternoon, they literally got to like sit there and do Q&A with Raj and then like drum with him in the clinic. And that to me is like what we can do to actually get the area better. Because now I see a bunch of like 14-year-olds that might drum when they go home. Like now, hopefully that's the gear that I got turning on them in that day, is that they'll start to have more passion and drum more. But what do you guys think? What else can we do to try to lift the floor in our areas?
You know, if I could jump in for a second.
Totally.
I think the answer to that question is simply exposing your kids to higher levels of performance and higher levels of instruction. You know, we become like the people we associate with. And so when you take your group and you bring them to an event, I'll just use Bands of America as an example. You mentioned how well you did at the regional. That experience was so paramount to the kids, and they saw all those programs that were so much, in the eyes of your kids, so much better than them. They're going to go back home and go, we want to be that. How do we do that? And I think by elevating the level of where you introduce your kids to is going to elevate their level of wanting to be better.
I totally agree. That reminds me of just like going to WGI when I was in high school. It's like Chuck, that is everything.
It's very interesting you say that, Chuck, because with my new program, I took them to the Color Guard Regional and the Toms River Regional. And I'm standing next to one of the students, and she says to me, I don't understand. They can do it. Why can't we? And it has moved mountains that I could have never moved by myself without them seeing it.
I have a fun story I could share from one of our podcast episodes. I was talking to Bill Galvin, who in Pennsylvania was the director at Trinity High School forever. And he said to me the first time he took his band to a BOA regional, they placed last at the show. And at the end of that season, he put a little form out to his kids and said, do we want to do this again? And overwhelmingly, his program was like, yes, we absolutely want to do that again. It was the greatest experience ever. And again, because they saw what they could be, and now they had energy and enthusiasm to be that.
Well, then I think that sounds like exactly what all the schools nearby need to start doing. We're going to run our clinic each year, and I think that'll help South Jersey a lot, at least for our drummers. But, just making the effort to get your school there, even if you don't think you're going to succeed competitively, that's the type of thing that will start to move the needle.
Well, what we got to do, Steve, with that is you got to convince your younger instructors. They tend to shy away from it because they're afraid to be that band that came in last. When they don't realize it's okay, because after they compete, they sit in the stands and they say, oh, that's what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And they're putting too much emphasis on numbers and on competition. You're your own competition every single time.
Definitely important.
Right. And your group will probably do better at the end of the year. If you bring them to the BOA show earlier, they'll actually practice harder.
Any event that's got that level of group at it. I mean, I brand BOA all the time because it's been my life. But, we become like the people we associate with, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that is fantastic advice. Here, let's move on over to Joe here and see what Joe's What Are We Doing is. But everyone should probably take a little page out of Chuck's book there. What are we doing, Joe?
What are we doing with how DCI operates with their tour schedule, right? And why do I say that? We're losing more and more drum corps, right? Because of the cost it is to do it, right? And we have not changed our model of how we tour. We just like, oh, we just lost another drum corps. Oh, we just lost a drum corps, right? But how do we grow drum corps? But, oh, we just lost a drum corps, right? So what are we doing about changing that model, right? Do we go to a regional model where, you really stay in your region, compete, and then move out, right? Like Boston went out to California, right? That I'm guaranteed that costs the kids way more money to do, right? How many kids can afford that, right? When with Jersey Surf last year, we flew out to Texas, right? Because we wanted to do the Texas tour. It's the first time we did it in a while. So, that costs more money for the kids. But when you do things like that, you start losing groups. Like, Woody remembers Spirit of New Jersey, Spirit of New York, like those type of groups that really tried to build up, kids that, would not normally know what drum corps is and introduce them to that. And then, eventually may move up to something else, right? But we don't have that anymore because it's like, there's very few competitions in certain areas. And it's very much like okay, I'm going to go march here. I'm going to go spend, $6,000-$7,000 to go march here, right? For the kids that can afford it, right? So I think we're losing more people to the acts that are just as passionate about it because DCI has not modified their schedule or done anything more to cater to more regional areas, stuff like that. So what are we doing about fixing that, right? Like grow the activity, not just talk about it.
You know what I've kind of wondered? If over time, maybe it would make more sense, like, especially if more groups start to go and it's only really feasible for a couple of the actually profitable corps to stay doing this, maybe they should just all do the same show. Like maybe there should be a show every weekend and it'll be at a football stadium, hopefully an indoor one so that we can't be, weathered and sunned and heated out of the competition. But if then you would have all the big groups, so it'd almost be like a concert or it'd be like a music festival of sorts instead of the shows being a little bit less of a major event to an extent too when they come around, because it'll be like, oh, you have BD, but that's the only group that's really in that competition tier. Maybe you don't have another group until someone that's in the 5 through 8 range. If it was, okay, you're going to go out to a show and you're going to see all of the 8 nationally competing corps, and then maybe that there's the regional model for everyone else. I could imagine a world where something like that makes sense, but I agree. You can't do this forever.
Yeah.
It's very...
It's like, I know U.S. Bands has done an amazing job this past year. They introduced this regional class, right, where it starts helping the smaller bands to start growing things of the sort. But you even do like BOA, right? BOA doesn't, they try to do more cultivating, right? But it's really aimed at like the Avons, which are amazing, right? So, but
I would disagree with that.
Doing? It's just, it'd be great to see more, seeing more drum corps and more marching bands and more groups pop up and being able to compete and have a chance. I think that's the gift. Give them a chance.
I've always said that, I hear that a lot. The Bands of America is only for the big bands, and it's not. And case in point is the year Jackson Academy made national finals with 35 kids and beat the largest band, Duncanville, Texas, to ever come to Grand Nationals. You don't have to be a rich band. You don't have to be a big band. You have to be a great band. You have to play your instruments, and that's a classroom thing.
Again, I think that comes from the staffs. They need to understand that concept you just said, but it's so intimidating when you see the Evons of the world. You think, and especially with the Bands of America, because there's so much excellence flowing through there.
Right. I mean, you'll have state champions that don't make finals, but when you have 100 groups that come to prelims, when you go to that arena if you're going to play with the big boys, and I don't mean big boys in size, I mean big boys in excellence, because it's always been about excellence, then again, that's why you're in the building. Like Bill Galvin's story about placing last at a regional, and you guys have said that as well. Exposing your children to that. All ships rise when the tide comes in. We don't leave anyone behind. All ships rise when the tide comes in.
It's funny. I taught a high school program, and they hadn't lost a show in like 3 years. And so we got the big stones. We're going to the BOA regional.
I have the same story, by the way.
We got beat by the smallest band at the show.
They played better, I'm sure. It's a music sheet. Plain and simple. It's a music sheet.
It was a learning experience for everybody, staff.
I did the same thing. So years and years ago, I was teaching at George Rogers Clark High School in Winchester, Kentucky. And we had just won like our 4th state title and took the band to Grand Nationals and got 34th in prelims. And it was like, what? But then when you looked at all those other groups, you're like, yeah, I get it. They were better than us. It's humbling. And with the right person in front of the band, with the right staff in front of the band, they can take those moments and turn them into the most amazing positives and learning experiences and stepping stones to the next level.
Mm-hmm. But not the parents. Parents can't take it.
Parents are tougher. But again, I would put that on the staff. I would put that on the staff and on the directors to teach the parents how, we had parent rehearsals when I was teaching high schools, so not only to teach them where to clap, because that was super important, but also to teach them how to behave. You don't bring a cowbell. Don't do this. You're representing us. You're in the stands. We're on the field, but we're all representing the school. And so, when you're outwardly hostile or you yell something you shouldn't or something like that, it reflects on the program.
Definitely, Joe. I think from what you were talking about, I think one of the biggest differences, at least here on the East Coast, in the tri-state area, Jersey, New York, Delaware, especially Jersey, there was from Philadelphia all the way to New York, a drum corps in almost every single town. And there was so much local action, a group didn't have to go to DCI to have some place to compete. And it also wasn't limited to musicians. I can't tell you how many great players were just kids off the street that, like, fantastic soprano players that just play above the staff just because the guy next to him, that's what he does. And now they probably don't do anything with the horn. And they were just guys off the street. It's funny, I was talking to someone that if you were in the Drumline when I first started marching, before the cadets thing, they kind of brought the musicianship to it. But before then, you would get guys, they couldn't read, and they would learn their drum book strictly by drum ease, stickings and everything, jet. they would know there's a flam, there's a paradiddle in there, just because they know what it sounds like. And so we now don't kind of take those kids anymore. That's a big thing. That's a lot of kids.
Right. Well, hey guys, I hate to cut this short, but we going on and on and on, and we're going to have to get to these Gush and Goes at some point. Chuck, I wanted to check in and see, do you have what are we doing that you want to make sure we hit before we move on?
And just briefly, I think along that same line, I'm going to DCI this year, and I haven't been in a very long time. And I'm like, what are we doing to bring the old guard up into the new with everybody else? Because I'm tired. I'm that age. I'm tired of hearing guys my age say it's not as good as it was when we played two valves, or, you know, where's the high mark time? Where are the spats? You know, I mean, it's just, there's got to be a way for us to bring people forward to just enjoy this for what it is, not for what it was.
Thank you. The spats. Wow.
I was a scout, so that's what I hear all the time. Where are your spats?
Well, you should have went with the epaulet too.
Right? Exactly.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and go.
All right. Well, we've got to keep Gush and Goes quick because this is a true Gush and Go. We are getting right back onto the field and getting back to rehearsals. So let's keep them quick. But Woody, what do you want to Gush and Go on about first today?
What do I want to Gush and Go about? I got so many things, Steve. But what I do want to Gush and Go about is I talk about my group a lot. You know, it's nice to be back in that position again. And we already know the opener.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yes. You know,
yeah, it's definitely early for that. Good
early
job.
for that. And, you know, turning the program, that's my favorite thing to do, turn programs around. Like, after they turn around, I can leave. I'm bored now because there's no
work here is done.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, that's cool, Dan.
Yeah, so that's my Gush and Go.
Nice. Well, Joe, what do you want to Gush and Go on about?
I will say I enjoy. I still talk to a bunch of my kids that I've taught and whatever, and they're out there marching mandarins and BD and stuff like that, right? And I enjoy, like, I purposely not, like you guys, I've not watched the show because I want to make sure I see it. They're telling me about the show and everything else, and I've seen clips. I'm like, no, right? But I have kids all over the place, and I'm dying to see them and dying to go watch a show, and I'm so proud of them. And they're just excelling beyond anything I could have expected. They're excelling they're doing better than I did, and it makes me happy to see that, right? So I can't wait to see them. So that's my Gush and Go.
Nice, man. Yeah, that is cool. Now that I've started to teach independent, like, you do see that kids that start to run with the ball a little bit, and it's like, nice. You get the idea. Chuck, what do you want to Gush and Go on about?
Plain and simple. Happy birthday to Bands of America. I can't believe it's been 50 years. 50 years.
Happy birthday to Bands of America. Well, that's awesome. And let's make sure everybody, if you're listening this far in the show, then you got to go check out Chuck's podcast, and also make sure you submit your contribution or your BOA story. Check the link earlier in the episode. It's probably going to be in the description too.
Thank you.
And then my Gush and Go for today. I'm excited. I went to the ring store today because I had to get myself sized up for my Eagles Drumline Championship ring.
Oh, you scared me there, Steve. You scared me there. Sized up for your ring. But I can respect the bird thing. I'm with you.
Oh, I don't know where you thought I'm at. I'm not that mature yet for any other ring than a good old football championship ring. And I'm in the hunt for another one next year, but got myself sized up today, and in about a couple months, bass drumming will have brought me to a nice big rock right there. So I look forward to getting that one. I will totally show it off on the show. That's going to be a blast.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby. Hey, all right. Well, thank you all for a great rehearsal this week. Thank you to each of you for spending some time with us. Joe, thanks for coming on. Look forward to catching up with you another time on here soon. And Chuck, thanks for joining as well and telling us a bit more about BOA, just some of your perspectives on the activity.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. And then thanks to Woody and Jackie as well. If you've got a question or a good topic to talk about, you can email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media and DM us if you want to be on the show. We've got a form that you could fill out now if you want to be a guest, and we love having all sorts of people on the podcast. So check it out at the link in our bio on our social media. Or you could just take your phone out. You could take a video, send it to us. You might see yourself on the podcast soon. And then one last thing, go ahead, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. It's where we go live. We do at least one live podcast a month now on the YouTube. So go check it out there. You can leave comments. Great place to see the video content that we make. So you follow us on social media at On a Water Break, and we'll see you at the next rehearsal on a water break.
Go practice. The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Reams. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.